Hey guys, welcome to Surf and Show. I'm Noel Salas, and today's surfboard review is on the Sci-Fi by Slater Designs. Now I have it in two stock sizes. We have the 5.6 and the 5.7, and they're both in the LFT construction by Firewire. Now I know this is an older model, but by the request of our community, you guys wanted a breakdown on this particular board, and I asked you guys on Instagram, what is it that you're expecting or what do you want from this review? And most of you guys said maybe just the differences in the Sci-Fi compared to the Sci-Matic, the Omni, and maybe even the SKX. So that's what we're gonna do. This is gonna be a great review, so sit back, get your favorite drink, and enjoy the show. Now, all four of the board designs I mentioned are all shaped by Daniel Thompson. And after riding all four, I have formed an opinion on which I think they work best for me. And that's pretty much what we all do, right? Is you go out, you feel certain things, and then you start to try and articulate what it is that you're feeling. So as we dive into the attributes of the Sci-Fi, we'll then compare it to the Sci-Matic, Omni, and maybe the SKX. So my first introduction to Tomo's designs was the SKX. Now, all four models that I'm talking about here have or share the same attributes. That's the parallel outline and the modern planing hold that Tomo calls quad inside single concave. Now with me starting at the SKX, I had the typical mindset that it's a high performance shortboard. I like to ride those in roughly 4 to 8 foot surf, and I kind of liked that it had that pointed nose high performance shortboard look to it. And then from there, I went to the Sci-Matic, and the Sci-Matic has that parallel outline, quad inside single concave, but in a shorter package. Right? So now it's that blunt nose, but it's handling roughly the same wave size with a double bat tail. And then I thought, man, that board felt great. So then I went to the Omni, which is basically similar attributes as the Sci-Matic, except for it has a round tail. And then now we're on the Sci-Fi, which has the double bat tail like the Sci-Matic. And what I'm finding out is that each of these designs have a lot of similarities, but what separates them's the rocker and tail design. Now I want to separate the Sci-Fi from the other three board designs. Let's start with Slater calls the Sci-Fi his groveler. And for me, groveling is 1 to 2 feet. That's roughly chest high and below. And I'm thinking good paddler and good speed down the line. And I believe this fits the package for the pro surfer like Kelly, where it has a low exit rocker, good surface area, so they can get that speed. Coupled with Tomo's quad inside single concave, all four models have incredible speed down the line. So one of the things I want to mention that Kelly and the competitive surfer have to deal with is that the judges want them to be on some kind of pointed nose board, which doesn't pertain to me and you, our community, right? And then I also want to talk about Firewire says they recommend this for 3 to 6 foot surf. So where does it land for me? Well, for me, I mentioned that it needs to be a good paddler. Well, this has a medium entry rocker, and I need this to be a low entry rocker, right? So I can paddle good and get more speed down the line. And I think these kind of subtleties separate us from competitive world-class surfers. Number one, the other thing I wanted to mention is because it has the parallel outline, which makes the board give me more rail to work with. In a 2 foot wave, I might want this board to be a little bit shorter so that way it's more agile in transition and it fits better, right? So for me, I'm thinking this is more of a daily driver. I'm agreeing with Firewire. It's more of the 3 to 6 foot surf. And for here in SoCal, this could even be a high performance shortboard for a lot of us guys that want the high performance shortboard outline compared to maybe that of the Sci-Matic, if that's who you are as a surfer. So let's take these four designs and put them in categories. We'll start with more of that traditional look, boards that have the pointed nose, and we'll start with the Sci-Fi. I say this board shines bright in 3 to 6 foot surf as a daily driver. Now I wouldn't call it a groveler, maybe a small wave performance board at best. Now for that 4 to 8 foot high performance shortboard, I'd say SKX. Right? And what separates the Sci-Fi and the SKX is rocker and tail design. Let's look at the Sci-Fi real quick. Obviously we know that it has the low exit rocker, and we've got this little wing right here, which gives us something to pivot off of. And then we have the double bat tail, which gives us a little bit of traction. And with both boards having the same parallel outline and the same quad inside single concave, it's really about that rocker and tail design that's going to separate the two. Now, I believe the SKX has maybe a medium exit rocker, and it's going to have a little bit more hold because it has the squash tail and it has no hip or any kind of break like the wing right here, and so it's going to offer more hold. Now I want to talk about the Sci-Matic and Omni in a category that might have same overlapping wave size, but because it has a blunt or round nose, it definitely serves a different purpose. And I believe that this is what Tomo really hopes that us surfers can experience in his design. With that parallel outline, and we have a lot of rail to work with, drive off our bottom turns, you can get that out of the Sci-Matic at 5.3 as opposed to riding maybe like a 5.7 or a 5.6 with the pointed nose. So some of the things that I think are really important is the Sci-Matic is going to go to that 3 to 6, 3 to 8 foot surf. It's going to give you great hold because of design, and it also has a medium exit rocker, right? And I think the rockers are very similar from the Sci-Matic to the Omni, but let's look at the tail design and then let's talk about what kind of surfer you are, or even what kind of surfer I am. If we look at this double bat tail and we have that little wing here, something to pivot off of, and then we have a reduction in surface area, I'm going to get more performance out of the pocket, and I want to surf in the pocket more. So this board offers a little different feel than the Omni, right? This board has no wing. It's just pulled in nice and for a round tail. Water adheres to curves, so this board's going to carve and it's going to do a rounder turn, right? So maybe you're not a pocket surfer, or maybe you're surfing a beach break and it's hollow and you might want to get into some barrels. This board will have great hold and good speed, right? But I'm looking for agility in small transitions, especially in like a 3 foot wave. So both these boards have very similar things, but they ride completely different. And I personally, out of the pointed nose category or the blunt nose category, what board would I choose and did I have the most fun on? I'm going for the Sci-Matic. Now I want to talk about the fins I chose riding the 5.6 with FCS2 plugs. Tomo's shapes with that quad inside single concave, there's a lot of built-in speed here, which is pretty cool because now I can run a medium fin or a large fin and get what I want out of the board. I started with the Almeric thruster set. It has a lot of rake, and what I was looking for really is just that down the line feel and being able to drive through my turns, and it felt good. I didn't spend a lot of time on this thruster set because I wanted to put it as a quad, and I went with the same setup that I liked on the Sci-Matic. I went with the large performers in the Performance Core Carbon and the Reactor medium quad rears. This is a great set. Now, quads in general don't pivot as good as thrusters. So that's why I went with a real upright quad rear set so I can get this board to pivot quick. And I felt that this board as a quad, I could feel the speed under my feet, and even in choppy surf, I had good hold and I could pivot good too. Now I want to talk about the fins I chose in futures. Now this board is 5.7, so it's a little bit longer. And when we started surfing, the waves were pretty small. It was clean and they had a little punch to them, but I'm looking at a 5.7 trying to fit it in that little tiny pocket in transition, and I have to deal with the parallel outline, which makes this board feel a little bit longer underfoot. So I started right off the bat with the P8. Now this is something new Futures is doing. It's in the Legacy series. This is a large pivot fin. It has a flat foil, it's honeycomb, so it's middle of the ride number and it's balanced. Now this fin is the fin I've been waiting for. I still want to maximize drive with the wide base, but now I can get up in the lip faster, and I felt like it was ideal for this particular model. And that's exactly how it felt. I could get the board to pivot quick as a thruster, and it felt great. The next thing I did was I took the pivot fin and I added the Hayden shape, which is an upright quad rear set in size medium. And this felt really good together. It did enhance its ability to pivot quick, It never felt like it was going to slide. I was getting the hold I wanted out of the double bat tail with the 2 channels. But when I switched to the F8, which is a neutral fin, has a little bit more rake, still has that wide base for that speed I'm looking for. It was almost like the channels and the wide base were not working together. It was causing the tail to lift a little bit on my turns, and I felt like it was bogging. So I took the fins out and I put back in the pivot fin, and that's what it worked best in. And I also tried the Almeric AM1s, which is a medium with a lot of rake, and it went good with that too. Now I want to talk about how the 5.6 felt and how the 5.7 felt. And if you follow the show, you know I have a range in liters, and with the 5.6 coming in at 24.8, with it being EPS, it really feels like maybe 25.2, 25.3, and then the 5.7 is coming in at 26.2, so that's really like 26.7, creeping up on that 27 range. Now, how did it feel under my feet? Well, when it was glassy and the conditions were clean, they both felt great. The smaller surf, the 5.7, planed and it felt like it was a little bit on top of the water, which I really liked until it got choppy. So the wind picked up, and then it was about which one could I get to feel solid off the bottom and in the pocket and have that bit of snap or flare to it. So I put some waves together. You guys are gonna check it out. Let's see what it looks like. So this is the 5.7 with the thruster set. This is the F8. So you can see it's kind of bogging. It's lifting too much. The turns aren't crisp and the board looks big for me. Here's a bigger wave with a lot more wind on it. This, the 5.6 is a quad. You can see it. 5.7 right here, thruster. It doesn't look bad, but the rebounding out of the whitewash is taking me a little bit too long. As opposed to the 5.6, you see that snap, quick flare, and more texture on the surface. 5.6 is a quad, went really well. So this is the quad, 5.6, nice projection down the line. The board's really fast. Here's a little right. If you notice, all the waves, there's a bit of wind out here. Waves are still fun. It goes a little flat right here, but one thing I liked about the 5.6 is it had pop on my turns. Here's a little left, kind of mushy. Waves are fun, but the board's matching it even though the volume or the leader is a little bit low and the quad pivoted great. Now here's the 5.7. It's got the pivot thruster set in, waves smaller, clean. You can see nothing real trick, but the board's pivoting real well and it felt good. Look at this left, board's got some spice. Be able to hit that real quick. This little right, nice spray. I like how quick the board got right up in the pocket right there and able to finish this turn, getting the tail free a little bit. Hey guys, if you want to learn a little bit more about Tomo's quad inside single concave, check out the Cymatic review we did. And to learn more about the LFT construction, head over to Firewire's website. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed today's review on the Sci-Fi. Special shout out thanks to the folks at Slater Designs for sending these 2 boards down for review. And we also want to thank Rip Curl of San Clemente for allowing us to borrow the Cymatic and Omni to break down board categories. Look, if you like the show, subscribe. You can also find us at surfandshow.com. Well, that's it for today. Until next time, see you in the water. Bye-bye. Young minds wanna do the right thing.